Hi there and welcome back to my channel, the best place to build a life and business you love simply because you can. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the biblical secrets that I found in the book of Ruth. Who would have known that that book was loaded with entrepreneurial secrets for business owners? Now, the first thing that I learned from the book of Ruth, and this is going to be in a 4-part series because there's just too much golden nuggets for me to uncover everything in one video, right? I'm going to do this in a 4-part video series, so make sure you stay tuned and watch out for that. Now, in today's video, though, I'm going to be covering with you all of the nuggets that I uncovered from chapter 1. The first thing, the first golden nugget is to pivot. It is okay to pivot. It is okay to change course. It is okay to change directions. Now, sometimes when we start out in business, right, you may not have figured out everything that you need to know. You're still trying to find your niche. You're still trying to get market validation for your product. Sometimes you don't even know where to start. Now, in the first chapter in the book of Ruth, we hear the story of how Naomi and her husband and children had to leave Israel for Moab because there was a famine in Israel at the time. So it is okay to actually follow the bread, to follow the market, right? Follow the bread, find out what part of your experience, your skills, your expertise has value in the market. It may not be what you are most passionate about, but at least it can pay the bills. We don't want to be brokepreneurs. We want to be entrepreneurs, right? So when you first get started, find out which skill, which skill, which value can you bring to the marketplace that you can actually get paid for. You may not be most passionate about it. That's absolutely fine. As you grow, as you get along, you get to a point where you will start getting paid for the things that you're most passionate about. I'll use myself as an example. When I first got started, right, I for like 2 years, I struggled. I didn't even make $1. I didn't make a cent online when I started. And that was because I was so attached to my passion. I was so attached to doing the things that I felt, I was the most passionate about. But then I realized that I was not making any money and it was becoming harder to stay consistent without any money. It's very hard when you have bills to pay and trying to stay motivated. It is actually very hard to do. So what did I do? What I did was I started to leverage on my skills that I had built over my career. Heck, I spent 10 years plus in sales and marketing. And I thought to myself, what better way than to bring that skill to the marketplace? I can teach people how to sell. I may not be most passionate about it, but it's a skill that I have and it comes naturally and almost effortlessly to me. And that was how I made my first money. I started to build products around my expertise of sales and marketing and, all of the things that I learned in my career, writing. I just had to take inventory of what are the things I know how to do, right? I know how to write, I know how to sell, I know how I like digital marketing, all of those things, right? You have to take inventory and then follow the bread. Now, number 2, the second principle that I learned from chapter 1 in the book of Ruth is to be vulnerable. Acknowledge your feelings. When you start on your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to have difficult days. Some days are going to be so hard you will feel like quitting, but it's okay to acknowledge the feelings and actually say, this is how I feel. Because when you say it out loud, something just clicks in your brain. Okay, this is hard, but I'm going to persevere. Because if we look at the life of Naomi in the first chapter of the book of Ruth, when she had lived in Moab 10 years with her husband and her children, her husband dies, her 2 sons die, and she was sad about it. She was distraught. Who wouldn't be, right? Because that was not what she expected was going to happen. But then that happens to her. And then she decided, you know what? What am I doing here? There's no point. The man in my life is gone. My 2 sons are gone. I might as well just go back home, right? And as she decides to go back home, her daughter-in-laws, because her sons were married to Moabites, to 2 women in Moab. And they decided, Ruth and Orpah decides to follow Naomi back to Moab. And Naomi we can read her lamentation that she's like, the Lord has dealt his hand on me. I came here full, now I'm empty and I want to go back. And she actually turns to them to say, look, girls, there's no point following me back. Like, she was even a bit salty about it. Like, am I going to have a baby tonight that you can get married to tomorrow, right? There's no point following me. So just go back and let me just bounce. Let me just go back to where I came from. This thing did not work out the way I thought it would. She was explicit with how she felt. She didn't try to hide her emotions. She was very raw and very real with how she felt. So sometimes when we have those down days in life or in business, it is okay to acknowledge those days and express how you feel. Find someone you trust and vent. Find someone you trust and let them know exactly how you feel. I'm so blessed to have a husband that I can vent to. Like, I literally cry, I break down, and sometimes I go to God and I'm like, God, I don't like this ish. It doesn't feel good, and I don't know why I have to go through this, but I still trust you. Because at the end of the day, the difference between God and the devil is when you are down, the Lord will redeem you back up. The Lord redeems, right? So even when you have those down days, God still has you. God still has your back. Like, your worst days with God is better than your best days on the other side, right? So it's okay to be vulnerable, to acknowledge how you really feel. Now, the third thing that I also learned from the chapter 1 of the book of Ruth is to follow your conviction. Now, I'm going to switch it up a notch to Ruth now, because in the first chapter, we'll see that as Naomi was leaving, Ruth and Orpah followed her, right? And she started to, lament and tell them, there's no point going with me. You better go back. Like, what's the point coming with me? I don't have any more children that you can get married to. Like, she didn't really see any need for them following her, rightfully so. But Orpah is like, girl, you're right. I better bounce. I better find myself another dude this way, right? To the left. And then she bounces, right? Now, would you fault Oprah for doing that? She probably didn't see the vision beyond what Naomi was saying. And she was like, girl, you're right. And she bounced. Ruth, on the other hand, was like, she had a conviction inside her belly. She may not have been able to articulate what it was in that moment, but she was so convicted that there's something here that I have to follow. And she said, Naomi, girl, your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. As long as you live, wherever you go, I go. I am not going back. I am not turning back to business as usual, right? She followed her conviction. There was a conviction inside of her that her destiny was somehow connected to this woman. Yes, things may not have gone the way she thought it would go, but there's something here. Her destiny is connected to this woman. There's something here that she has to hold on to. She was convicted, and that was why she decided, to follow her, regardless of not knowing what it was going to be like on the other side, right? And last but not the least, the last thing that I saw in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, is persistence. Persist. Now, when Ruth made up her mind that she was going to go with Naomi started to resist. She was like, no, you can't come with me, and that's what she started talking about, all of, if I get married today and have sons tomorrow, are they going to grow up for you to get married? No, you need to go back to your people and let me just go back on my way. Now, when we have a conviction in our heart, when we have been called or earmarked to do something, it is not a smooth sailing ride. I found this the hard way. Hello? It is not a smooth sailing ride. I used to think before that when God calls you to do something, it was going to be, because God called you to do it, it was going to be easy, everyone's going to love you for it. But I was quick to realize that is not the case. It doesn't always work out like that. When we start, there's something called resistance, and it's very real. In this scenario between Ruth and Naomi was the resistance trying to push Ruth back. She didn't know it at the time, but she was trying to push her back against her destiny that she was convicted for. But Ruth, on the other hand, had to persist through that resistance by saying, no, I will go with you. Like, girl, it doesn't matter what you tell me. I am coming with you. My destiny is tied to you. I must do this thing. I must go with you. Obviously, she didn't know she was going. She was earmarked to be in the lineage of Jesus. She didn't know that at the time, which we'll cover in another video. But she persisted. She persisted. There's a proverb that I read one time that says, water can only crack through a rock because it is persistent. So when we start to follow our dreams and rise up to who God has called us to be, we are going to meet some resistance along the way. It can be from friends, from family. It can be life just throwing different things at you. In my case, it was a lot of things. Right? That I'll cover in subsequent videos. But when you rise up to try to pursue your dream, you will meet some resistance in there, and this is where you have to persist. You have to persist against it because you are water, and if you stay persistent, you're going to crack through that rock. Okay, this is it for this video. I'm so glad that I was able to share this with you. Now, let me know in the comments, have you experienced any of these 4 things? Have you ever pivoted before? Have you been vulnerable, acknowledging your feelings when times were hard? Have you followed your conviction, right? Or, have you Practice persistence. Where did it lead you to? Or which one of these 4 things will you be implementing in your life and your business? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao, ciao.